on a meta level, on a meta spiritual level, that was one of the purposes of the pandemic, is to force us to have a reckoning with things that we weren't really, all of us had things. There isn't a person that did. I don't care. I mean, there were many of us, and myself included for a period of time, who enjoyed the pandemic, at least because we weren't directly affected and we could just stay home with our kids. But everyone had a reckoning.
Mm-hmm.
And from a relationship and sexual perspective, I have seen a huge shift since then. I have seen this onslaught of couples who, and this has been my entire career. People have always, number one question I get asked, no matter where I speak or who I speak to, is how do you spice it up, right? In a long-term relationship. Really reasonable question. And for most of my career, I would say I'd give you tips, toys, tools, role plays, fantasies, all really important, what I call kind of in the logistical field or the 3D field. And then you'd be back asking for more after you'd kind of played those out, because we're all looking for that dopamine high that is so strong in the beginning of a new relationship. Everyone thinks they want to get back to what scientists call the infatuation stage, where you can't get enough of each other and you're going at it.
Yeah.
It's so fun because literally it's like being a Coke addict in a good way. The dopamine addiction centers of your brain are firing like crazy during that phase. And so it almost is like an addiction. In fact, they have found that when people break up during the infatuation stage, the body and the mind experience it like withdrawal. And so we're looking constantly for a dopamine hit, which is why we're looking for the novelty, not understanding what's available to us beyond the infatuation stage, which is where quantum sex comes in. So what was happening is that we've always kind of been seeking and looking for that unconsciously, not realizing that we're looking for the dopamine hit, basically. Pandemic hits, Pornhub goes free. And now everybody, not everybody, but tons of people are starting to look at porn more and more and more. And now what I've seen happen is that people what happens with porn, we now understand, because now we've had several years of people extensively watching it, is it does a couple of things. One, it stimulates the dopamine centers of the brain. So what happens? You get kind of normalized out at that level. So you have to take it to the next level and the next level and the next level, which is why we're seeing so many people turn to like really abrasive, aggressive, kind of scary type porn stuff, right? I mean, this is why so many are into choking porn, right? Like you got to up the stakes, not even realizing that we're unconsciously upping the stakes because we're trying to get it's not working anymore to see two strangers having sex. Now I got to see them hurting each other. Now I got to see them, doing XYZ, right? So we're upping it, getting addicted in that way. And we're seeing it in relationships as a result. So the other thing that happens with porn, which is really interesting, is that the brain processes what you're watching as a two-dimensional object.
Oh.
So I started seeing all of these people, once they started really kind of obsessively, it started off just kind of out of boredom during the pandemic, it's free, and now it's becoming kind of addictive. They can't get aroused with an actual person. They need the porn on.
They need that screen.
They need the screen. And so, by the way, it's a really good way. I had 3 sons. So that was one of the things I told them about being careful with porn, is that you won't be able to get it up with a real person. And that actually helped dissuade them from, I said, you can watch them from time to time, but definitely exercise fantasy as well. And I was shocked when they looked at me very confused, not understanding what I meant when I said fantasy, because this generation of kids don't even know about fantasy because they have it spoon-fed to them in the Pornhub thing. And in other ways. But anyway, what I saw happening, and now it's extending, we need to open our relationship. We need to have a threesome. It's like seeking that dopamine rush, and it's putting all these relationships at risk. And I started to realize, like, wait a second, there is a whole other way. I started asking people, when you're looking to spice it up, and you're seeking this spice that you're now trying to get through porn and through threesomes and open relationships, when that wasn't the intention, it's not even what you really want in your relationship. You're just quote unquote bored. What is it that because everything we want because we want to feel a certain way. anything you want. It's because you want to feel how you're going to feel when you have that thing, that person, that relationship, that situation, right?
On your vision board.
Yeah, everything.
It's not the house or the yacht. It's how you feel.
How you're going to feel in the yacht, on the yacht, in your house, looking at that car parked in the driveway, driving it down the street, whatever it is. We're all looking to feel a certain way. So I always, that's one of the secrets of quantum love. It's one of the secrets behind the secret. You know this, right? It's not enough to just say what you want or write yourself that $1 million check. You have to embody the feeling of she, he, they who has the $1 million, right? That's the key to propelling it into the quantum field.
Yes.
So I started saying, what are you really wanting to feel? And time again, it was some version of excited intensity or intense excitement. It was, and that is what sex magic teaches you to create within, you can do it in an open relationship, whatever, but even more intensely in a committed relationship where there's trust and openness and vulnerability. It escalates the intensity of erotic experience, emotional connection, and makes sex almost metaphysical. It helps you dive into the energetics of sex and creates that excited intensity that not only is extremely erotic, where you can have full body orgasms, but extremely connective. And you can do it whether you're single or in a relationship. But I love teaching couples how to do it.
Oh, I love that. Quick question. You were talking about your sons and the porn. Does, for self-stimulation with, let's say, a vibrator, does that de-stimulate you from a regular, normal, organic penis?
No. And there's been a lot of research on this because obviously that's a big concern for people. I always say, look, if you can, I'm always a fan of keeping all skill sets alive, right? So don't, try to keep your body used to everything.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of sexual aids and devices. As you know, I gave you one before.
Yes, I received a toy.
But I have a line of them. I developed them primarily for women. Because as after 40, especially, you need added stimulation to get there. And I'm a huge fan of teaching couples how to incorporate them together. It does not replace a partner. It cannot replace a partner. The number one predictor, and there's been extensive research on this too, the number one predictor of a woman's sexual satisfaction, orgasms are important for sure. But the number one predictor is the emotional connection and intimacy she feels with the person she's having sex with. And no toy can replace that. So while it may be able to provide stimulation that no human could replicate, in intensity and frequency, it doesn't replace the partner. And in fact, it's an amazing tool, which is why primary reason I gave it to you, to start practicing some of the sex magic techniques, because for most of us, genital sensation is localized to the genital region. Sexual sensation is localized right there. Maybe it'll be in your uterus or pelvis at times, but it's primarily in that region. What you're learning to do with sex magic is pull that sensation throughout your entire body. And one of the easiest ways to start practicing it is with a little vibrator, because that's providing the vibration for you to more actively play with and pull up and circle through you.